Hey you all, also hi to fellow dressmakers. You're welcome to another interesting tutorial. My name is Confidence. In this video, I'll be showing you how to cut this beautiful Ankara maxi dress that has a slant pocket with facing. So I picked this style from two different styles. The down part is going to be the down part of this beautiful dress. You can see that it's Ankara flare dress with a slant pocket, while the upper part of this dress is going to be the upper part of this one, except for the sleeve. But every other thing, the coat shoulder, the neckline, and every other thing will be the upper part, except the sleeve that I changed to this beautiful sleeve. So I made it for a plus size and I couldn't get a picture or a video, but it fitted so well. And from what you can see here, it came out so well. And if you want to know how I came up with this, make sure you watch to the very end. And let's get right into it.
Hello, you don't even know my name, but I am happy you came by.
Here I have these two African prints, and this will be for the down part. I have 4 yards of that, and this will be the upper part. You will need roughly 1 to 2 yards depending on your kind of sleeves. So first you start with a well drafted Princess Bustier, and mine is ready here. The upper part is obviously a Princess Bustier, so get yours ready. And like I said, I made this for a plus size, and these are her measurements. The bust is 48, under bust 40, waist 38, shoulder measurement 17, the half length for the front 20 and a half, the half length for the back 18 and a half, and the full length is 63. Just because I managed the Ankara, normally her full length start from 65. She's really tall and she's also on a big side. So on this pattern, I have 20 and a half for the front and 18 and a half for the back. Start from the shoulder slope on the shoulder tip, go down to how long you want the coat shoulder or the keyhole to be, and me, I'm going down 4.5. Okay, you can also just measure the midpoint of the armhole line and make it stop there, whichever works for you. Then on the neck tip, I'm going in by 1.75. From what you have on the thumbnail, it's 1.5, but I want mine to be 1.75. You can also do 1 inch if you want, but this 1.75 works for me. Then I connected it to the 4 inches from the shoulder slope down, and also the 4.5, just to see what it will look like. Okay, so measure what you have there and keep it in mind, because you will need it by the time you want to do the sleeves. And over to the back, I'm going to also start from the shoulder tip here and go down to the 4.5, which is just the midpoint of the armhole there. Okay, then on this next tip, I'm going to come in 1.75, just like we did for the front, and I'm going to place my curve this same way and curve it. Then I'll come to this neck tip here and come in 0.25. Then I'll go ahead and redraw the shoulder slope. This way we tighten the neckline area. The neckline is not too deep, so 0.25 works. I'll come to the front too and do the same thing, 0.25, and then I will redraw the shoulder slope. And just so we are on the same page, I divided her bust measurement by 12 to get the neckline width and the depth for the front. Then the back is the her bust measurement divided by 12, and the depth of the neckline for the back is 2 inches. All right, so I had wanted to use 4 inches depth for this keyhole on the shoulder, but I ended up using the 4.5. Then I'm going to measure what I have here and transfer it to this other line, this princess line, and make sure I have the same value there, and redraw the armhole. This is very important so that this side front will not be excess by the time you're joining the bustier. And like I said before, measure what you have from the shoulder slope to the end of the keyhole, where the keyhole stops. All right, measure it for both front and back and have it in mind. For my case, it's 9 inches because I used 4.5 for both of them, so that would be 9 inches. Okay, so to cut the front, you're going to slash the dart to the bust point so you can close the bust dart this same way. Then I'll go ahead and tape it down with my cello tape and then blend in the side seam, because you can see that it's shifted. And after that, I'll just go ahead and cut it out just the same way you can see me.
It's only been a few days. I set my eyes on you, babe. Is it love at first sight? Turn on the lights, see the mess you made. 1, 2, in love with you. 3, 4, I'm on the floor. Come pick me up, oh, and tell me you know for sure.
So by the time you're done, you should have something like this. The very best thing to do is to, after cutting out your pattern, is to go ahead and cross check to know if you have any excess or any shortage on any part. So I'll go ahead and cross check my pattern now. I'll place these two sides like this, and I notice that I have some excess on the side back, just like this. So you can try to cut the excess on the down part or on the armhole just the same way, but make sure you have an accurate pattern, because you're going to transfer this to the fabric, right? And if the pattern is not right, the outfit is not going to come out right. So we'll go ahead now and transfer all of this to the fabric, but first we'll cut the down part, and we'll do a little calculation for that. So her waist measurement is 38, and I'm going to divide that 38 by 3.14, since this is a half flare, a 1080 degrees flare. When I do that, it's going to give me 12.1019,108, and I'll just approximate these plenty numbers to 13 inches. So the radius now for the flare is going to be 13 inches. So I'm going to add that 13 inches to the length of the skirt or the flare, and to do that, I'm going to minus the half length from the full length, the whole length, right, which is 63 inches, minus 20 inches as the half length. That would give us 43 inches, right? So this 43 now plus 13 inches, which is the radius. We are doing this so that we can fold our fabric once. 43 plus 13 will give us 56 inches. And you can just do 57 or 58 depending on how much allowance you used to sew for joining and hemming allowance. Okay, so you know Ankara is by 45, right? This one that I'm working with is by 45. So what I'm going to do is to measure on this original mouth, this selvage here, measure to the 57 inches, and when you get to that 57, you're going to fold the fabric again to give you another 57 inches. So that's what I'm going to do to have something like this. You can see my fabric is already folded, and what I have from that end to this end, this folded edge, is 57 inches, which means that it's 57 by 2, right? So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and give it an A shape. Just fold it to have a triangular shape like this, and this way you folded your fabric to cut out a 1080 degrees flare. And this is what it looks like on the down part. One must be shorter than the other one by the time you fold it into 4 folds this way. So we'll go ahead and we'll fill up this shorter part or this shortage after we are done cutting. But for the longer part, that's the length that we need for this flare. Okay, so I'm going to start from this pointy part, this triangular part, and measure that 57 inches which we need. I'll measure it all around. Okay, like I said before, the longer part is exactly the length that we want, which is 57. I'm going to measure it, that 57, all around. But if that will be confusing, just start from this pointy part, this triangular part, and measure the 13 inches, which is the radius. Okay, start here and mark your 13 inches all around. That way you have your radius. Then you're going to now start from this round shape, this 13 inches radius. We're going to start from that point to measure 43 inches. Yeah, that's 44 inches all around. 43 plus 1 inch allowance, and that's what I'm going to do. I won't be showing you that because my table is not that big. Okay, so I'm going to measure 44 inches all around to have a round shape, just like I have it on this radius part. Okay, and when I was done, this is what I had. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the down part, and you can see the shortage part, which we'll be using the other fabric, the leftover fabric, to fill up. So I'll go ahead and cut this down part, the full length, like this. Then I'm going to take this remaining fabric and I use it to fill up this part. It's very simple. Just go ahead and place it or make it overlap on that shorter part. Make it overlap just like this. Then you're going to trace out what you have there. Please, if this is your first time, turn it to where you will be seeing what you're doing. But I'm already used to this, so I'm just going to try to trace it out just for the sake of this tutorial. What I usually do is to just eyeball it and use my hand to know where to cut and then cut it out. But please don't be like me. If you have much more fabric, make sure this part now is folded, selvage that you can see here. Make sure it's folded because where we want to fill up is folded. But since I'm managing my fabric, this is what I did. I cut the first one, I used it to trace out the second one, and then I went ahead to join it. What I will do now is to go ahead and give it a good press the seam open. Then after that, I will join it to this part. Notch the center. You can see it's folded, right? So if you have much fabric, make sure you cut that part on fold too, so that you don't have to join it just like I did there. But it's still okay. Just make sure you iron it very flat to make it look seamless. One thing about Ankara is that except your clothes, you won't even know that it's joined when you're making something like this. So I'm going to follow what I have here and stitch it from one end to the other end, and also give it a good press, right? Make sure you're stitching it at the back of this selvage. Make sure this part is not showing. You see that white line? It must not show by the time you're done joining. Join and press open the seam to make it look seamless and flat. Now we'll keep this aside and move over to the upper part. And my fabric is folded while I place the center front on it like so. I'm just going to add half-inch stitching allowance all around this pattern. If you're still a newbie to pattern like this, transferring your pattern to the fabric, go ahead and mark the half-inch all around. And don't forget to notch your under bust by the time you're done cutting. I'll repeat the same thing for the back. On the center back, there is no need adding any other allowance. We already have the zipper allowance there. So after cutting, I noticed that one of the fabric is folded, and that's one good reason why you should iron your fabric before you transfer your pattern so that it will be flat. Then for the side, what I'm going to do is to place it on a folded fabric like this because we want to cut two pieces and extend the armhole line and the waistline. Make sure what you have on the pattern like this is also what you have on the line that you just drew. Then go ahead and add your desired allowance. Here I'm using 1.5 side seam allowance. Then every other part I'll just be adding half-inch joining allowance. Follow the same curve or shape that you have on your pattern. Don't forget to notch the underbust. Go ahead and press your interface and wording or whatever form of padding that you want to use. So this is the skirt or the flare. I've gone ahead to join it like I said, and you can see how seamless it is. This center part that I joined, it's actually kind of useless because I forgot that we'll still be cutting that part, slitting that part open because of the side seam pocket. So go ahead and fold it like this again, just the same way you folded it when you cut out the down part, and then make sure it's equal on the down part. Remeasure the radius to be sure, and I have exactly what I should have, even extra, that would serve as the zipper allowance. I don't usually add zipper allowance to my measurement when I'm calculating for flare because this is flare and it must stretch. It's cut on bias, so the stretch is guaranteed. Now remove the pin that you have here. If you pin yours down, then I'm going to open this part. But since I already wasted my time to join that part, that part that we fill up, I won't be cutting this all the way to the end. So I'll just cut it halfway just to make sure I have a space to fix the slant pocket. And now we have two pieces. Okay, so I'll take one of the two pieces and then get the center just to create a space for the zipper too. And again, I won't be cutting it all the way to the down because that's like a waste of thread. So I'll cut it halfway, just enough to create a space for the zipper. Okay, so this is the front. I'll go ahead and get the midpoint so that we can work on the slant pocket. Now take the center front of the upper part and you're going to measure what you have, then minus your half-inch joining allowance on both sides, or better still, just go ahead and fold it the same way. Her bust span is actually 5 inches and I use 1 inch for that, making it 4 inches remaining. Okay, so I'm going to just mark that 4 inches, then the other part will be the allowance, and here I have 4 inches. So I'm going to take that 4 inches and place it on the center, this center front of the flare, mark the 4 inches, and that's where the slant pocket would start. Okay, so I have the 4 inches there, and what I'm going to do now is to measure the width of the facing, right? You saw the pocket, right? The width of the facing, and I want 2.5 for the facing. So from the 4 inches I measured 2.5, and that would be the pocket facing, which I will use the other green Ankara for the facing. Start from this side here and go down to how low you want the pocket to be, and I want to use 8 inches for this person. 8 inches is okay, anything from 7 to 8, but it should not be too tight, right? Then I'm going to just give it a pocket slant this way. It's not hard. You can use your free hand to do it anyway, but just give it a space like this. Then I will mark the 2.5 again on this point, which is the pocket facing, and connect it the same way. So this right here is the pocket opening, and the other part will be the pocket facing. Then I'll just go ahead and cut it out. I was supposed to cut ½ inch away joining allowance, but I'll start just ½ inch on this upper part and blend it into what I already cut out on the other end. And this is what it looks like. Okay, you should not throw this away until you are done cutting the pocket filler, right? So take another fresh fabric and place this one on it like so, then place that part that you cut out, and then trace out what you have. Just trace it out like this. So I want the pocket to stop 1 inch before the center front, 2 inches, sorry. Then I'm going to just cut 1 inch before the center front because of sewing allowance. And the length of this pocket is 15 inches. Do well to make it longer or shorter, but anything between 12 inches is fine, so that it will not be too short. Okay, I'll fold it again just to cut out for the other part. Make sure it's where you marked that you folded it on. You saw what I did, right? Then I'll cut it out just the same way. Go ahead and notch this part to help you indicate this side, because it might be confusing if you do not notch it. Then I'm going to take these pieces of the other Ankara. I have 2 of these. I'm going to place it on each other like so. Just place it anyhow, right side facing right side or wrong side facing wrong side. Then you're going to place this one on it like so, and then we'll first trace out what we have on this emerald green fabric Ankara. I will just trace out what I have here before we do what you want to do on the other Ankara. So you can use the same fabric. It's not a must that you use different fabric for this, but the reason why I'm doing this is that this one I use for this pocket piece is the last of that Ankara. You see this emerald Ankara, emerald green Ankara, that's the last of that Ankara. So I want to use this one to support for the pocket. Okay, but the other darker shade of Ankara will be the one showing, and then this one will be inside. This lighter green Ankara will be inside. It won't show, right? So in the next video we'll continue putting all of this together, and I'll show you how to go about all of this.